Scums, welcome back to another very, very, very special episode, the GS Scumbags podcast. We're bringing you another former player interview. This one is one that we're all really excited about. None other than Mr. Duke himself, DeWayne Carter. Dwayne, thanks for joining us, brother.
Of course, bro. I appreciate you guys having me on, man.
This is so awesome. So, yeah, honestly, just for those of you, I don't even have to say it for those of you who don't know, Dwayne was a rock for the Duke football team for the past several years, currently playing for the Buffalo Bills on the defensive line. And he made some time in his schedule to join us. So guess we'll jump right into it. Boys, did you want to say anything before we get started? Noah, Tyler?
Oh yeah, just yet again, like Eli was saying earlier, we appreciate you coming on, talking to the scumbags and our little group of people out there that like hearing about Duke football. So that'll be really special for everybody.
Yeah, like they said, I appreciate it a little extra, being the diehard Bills fan I am. We were actually talking about it just a few minutes ago. So last year, the first episode we recorded was right after the spring game when you and Jacob got drafted,
Yeah.
and Noah's a Packers fan, and so we were both
Uh,
like the first episode, just like elated. We were like our two teams got like Duke guys. Like, how awesome is that?
Bro, that's insane, bro. That's actually funny. That's crazy. It's a lot of parallels. And, obviously now I'm in Biz Mafia, so I know what that actually means now, man. It's insane.
It's insane. Like,
Bruh, I'm just hoping and praying for the day when the Niners pick up a Duke guy. Like all we have to our name is like Thad Lewis as a backup for like 1 year. When it
Yeah.
comes to Duke guys on the Niners, that's all we
Well,
got.
no. You guys had Lakin. Lakin was there for a minute.
Oh, that's right.
Lakin was there for a minute. I forgot.
Yeah, and he was there with like Garoppolo and Shanahan, so like that
Yeah.
was sick. Dude, I still think we need Jacob in San Francisco, man. Our O line is terrible. I'm gonna write a letter to John Lynch.
Yeah.
Um,
That's right. They just got rid of Aaron Banks, too. Yeah.
yeah, Aaron Banks, dog. So getting into things, going way back to the beginning, you're born in Ohio to DeWayne Carter Sr., former Ohio State wide receiver, is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
So what was life like growing up in that household? Son of a former D1 wide receiver. What was it like? When did you start feeling like you wanted to follow your father's footsteps and play football?
Yeah, bro. So it's funny enough. Like, bro, I had to beg the dude to let me play football. Like, he wasn't going to let me play till ninth grade. And I wanted to play obviously since kindergarten. All my friends used to come into school with their custom jerseys, like team jerseys, and I was a soccer player and a baseball player growing up. So those are my two sports. And that was before I got a little bit heavier, and so then I got a little bit bigger. Then it was like, all right, maybe let's throw him out there and get him some experience before high school. And actually, really came from my mom. So my mom got to the point she said, "Listen, he's not going to suck by the time he gets to high school. So he needs to play." And then from there, but the rest is history. And I mean, just looking at my dad's side of the family is all football. So my dad, like you said, went to Ohio State. His oldest brother, excuse me, played running back Notre Dame. And then my middle uncle, Uncle John, he played at West Kentucky. He played offensive line. And then their father, my grandfather, who passed away a couple years ago, but he's in the Hall of Fame at Youngstown State for running back and track. He has 8 varsity letters. So it's funny, like you talk about like the family pedigree and this history of athletics. Like it's almost like I wasn't really meant to do anything else.
Dude, that's it. That's it. It's in the blood. And it's funny because I was looking at your 247, which I said the same thing to Jamie on, I'll say it to you. Like, thank God for 247 sports because it makes it so much easier to like get these together and like find information, like
Oh
recruitments
yeah,
and like a physics and whatnot. I saw that your first unofficial visit was to Ohio State.
yep,
But obviously I imagine that, your dad having played there, you went there many, many times growing up to games and whatnot.
yeah, bro. So I say I probably grew up around the program, like you said. Like my dad played ball in Columbus, and they decided to build a family in Columbus, and so did a lot of his ex teammates and old teammates, and his brotherhood that he had. A lot of them still live around Columbus. So like for example, like Eddie George, my goddad. So I grew up around Eddie all the time. He played with guys like Kirk Herbstreit, Terry Glenn, Orlando Pace,
No
like
kidding.
Lorenzo Styles. Like they had some dogs. So it's funny, like he played on like a legit team, but also during that time, Michigan was pretty good too.
Bro, you said
So
your godfather's Eddie George?
yeah, that's my goddad. So
that's
that's
he's
all.
been to a couple games.
That's insane.
So that's just it's the type of life I grew up around, which was football. And I think too, when you talk about recruiting, right? Being a young kid growing up in Columbus, which is Buckeye country, there's no pro teams. Like Ohio State is a pro team. Of course, it was a dream mine, but it just didn't work out like that. And I ended up going to Duke, and I mean, the rest is history from there.
Yeah, that's so sick, dude. I mean, like looking at some of like your early offers and visits, some of your earliest offers, like in 2016, we're about the same age, so you were probably what, sophomore, junior in high school,
Yeah,
give or take.
yeah,
You had some offers from Toledo, Kentucky, Bowling Green. Some of the bigger names, it looks like you were getting offers from were like Tennessee, Notre Dame, Pitt, Michigan, Vandy. But I know that Duke sent you an offer in like May 2017. What were those early experiences like getting recruited by Duke? Like, who were the guys you were talking to? What was kind of making you give them the light of day, so to speak?
yeah, bro. So I've always been kind of like an academically inclined kid.
Yeah.
I was also the kid like when I got home from school, my mom literally made me sit there at the table. It would be countless nights where I'd fall asleep doing my book work, homework after sports, like whatever it was. But that was kind of the standard that was set early for me. So I mean, going into this, it was like, all right, I know I'm gonna play ball. Hopefully I get to the next level, NFL, whatever. But also like, what can I do in school outside of that to set me up? Well, one during my playing career, and two after. So it's like I'm not scrambling, searching around, having an identity crisis, and trying to figure out who I am when I'm 30 something years old.
Yeah.
So that was really honestly, it was like my mindset going in recruiting. And of course, you had the big offers. I went to Tennessee's and Notre Dame's, visit Ohio State, Michigan. I had by the time I was really the end of my sophomore year, but really my junior year, we won a state championship in Ohio. And I was behind a whole bunch of kids that were all P5. Well, yeah, P5 at the time, now, P4, but P5, like, bro, they had the LSUs, they had the Michigan States, they had the Alabamas, they had the Oregons. Like, they had literally any school in the country was coming through our high school. So the way my coaches set it up and I was right behind them. Whether it was, it wasn't just like, oh, because they like me, because, I had the tape and I had the ability to play at that next level and at a high level. So really my recruiting, bro, it was like, high school was crazy, dude. Like I used to literally be in class and call down about 2, 3 times a day. And at one point, like during prime recruiting in the spring, like I was getting 2, 3 offers a day just from different schools. Like, so it got to the point where I stopped posting and stuff like that because I was focused on, a certain number of schools. But going back to the Duke, I'll never forget that. I got called down and my boy Coach Guerrero, Coach G, it's my dog. So Coach G was the first one to recruit me. And, he's at Ohio State now. So I still hit him up every once in a while when I'm in town. Yeah. So I got to go down to my coaches. They put them in like the teacher's break room, whatever. And the classic like high school football coach, history teacher, like that's what we had.
Yeah.
So, like, the history wing, bro, was like straight. It'd be the funniest thing, bro. Any given day, you have James Franklin, Urban Meyer, like freaking whoever, Coach kept being there. Like any Coach Antonio at Michigan State, like it's just you could think of any high level head coach, you could see him come through our high school, which was dope, and they all be in that same wing. But Coach G, I remember he like high energy guy. Like you got me. Like that's just how he talks all the time. That's how he is. And I'll never forget that, bro. Because I'm like a 15, 16-year-old kid, and like the belief he had in me and what I could do. But it wasn't just ball. It was like, bro, as a person, as a scholar, and just as an individual in general. And how could I affect the team? In leadership and stuff like that.
Yeah, bro, that's what makes Duke so special. Like, especially now more than ever. It's just like it's truly like one of the select few where like you can play ball at an elite level and also get like an elite level education.
Yeah.
Also, dude, I just know like those pictures that recruits will post like when they have all like their offer and like recruitment letters and like they sprawl them out on the bed and they post them on Instagram. I just know you had a bunch of those and like the letters were just covering your entire bed with all the offers you were getting.
Right. It's funny. So I never took a picture. It's funny. I got a bin. Yeah, I still got my 3 bins. I got 3 bins full of them.
That's awesome.
But they're upstairs in my room, downstairs in the basement. Otherwise, I'll show you. But it's funny, like, as a kid, that was like the dream for what I was trying to do. I was a kid. I had all the school lanyards on my book bag, walk around the school with a freaking jerk. Like, man, nobody see it. But that was just a swag back in the day. So that's what I did.
Tyler, I'll let you take it from here.
All right. So I want to talk about real quick a question about like the whole recruitment thing. So like the 2010s for Duke was like the golden era.
Yeah.
Like Sands, like right now, when you were like looking at Duke, were you aware of like how bad it was like in the 2000s, like how bad things were before, like when you were looking at it?
Yeah, bro. So one, I just realized what your Zoom name said. That's hilarious. I didn't even peep. Cause I looked, I was like, wait a second. Hey, Dave, my dog. That's funny. Bro, but yeah, man, like you talk about, especially being a kid who committed to Duke when I had like the Tennessees and Notre Dames, like all that shit, whatever it was. I always heard, oh, the Duke has a football team. Oh, good one, bro. Like, good one. Like, good joke. Like, I didn't know this. Or I also hear, Like, oh, they've been pretty good the last couple of years, referring to 13 and 14 when we went to ACC and all that stuff with that core group of guys that are elite. Some guys still play to this day. But also, I know in the back of my head, the talent we had, or they had, excuse me, at the time, was still winning. Right at the time, it was what the Detroit Bowl, the Quick Lanes Bowl. That's what it was. It was Pinstripe. It was
Independence
three, 4 years
Bowl.
before. Yeah, Independence. Like it was
Yeah.
just all these. It was however many bowl games in a row it was. So we were climbing the right direction. And then looking at who was on that team at the time, what I would soon walk into. Eventually, we had Jack Wallaboss, center, would have been in the NFL, but he tears ACL like 3 times, which is crazy. We had who was under center? We had DJ at the time, and then he left the year before I got there. Q was solid.
We had him on a few weeks ago.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
Q
great.
came on.
He's like influencer now. It's like
Bro, I
like
asked him
influencer.
for advice on shorts and he posted a video about it. It was so awesome.
Bro, he's dope, bro. That's what I'm saying. It's good guys like that. But he was on there. And then, more specifically me was defense, bro. Like, you really look at our defense. I always talk about our 2020 roster. We had Michael Carter, highest paid nickel in the NFL. We had Mark Gilbert. Was going to be a first round pick till he broke his hip.
And imagine.
He was something else, man.
We had Josh Blackwell, kid who just got paid again, made his way in the league on special teams, and then earned his DB role, played more and more as the season went on. We had Leonard Johnson. Leonard was playing too until he tore his ACL in New York. Now he's in the CFL balling. We had, bro, like in linebackers, we got Shaka still playing in the league. We had Joe Giles Harris who's been in the league. Like the D line, bro, by the time my sophomore year and I really was playing, it was Victor Dimukeji, NFL, Chris Rump, NFL, me, NFL. Derek Tangelo was in NFL, so he tore his ACL. So, bro, if you look at I look at that roster, there's no way we only won 2-3 games, right? And, there's a lot that can be said about that. But when you're starting 11 on defense and it's like 7 or 8 of them are NFL players and we're losing that many games, it's weird, right? So it's a whole bunch to it. But I just actually had this conversation the other day with somebody else because they always ask, like, why is Duke or why it is? I'm like, well, there's a lot of reasons why, but you can't say we weren't talented because Coach Cutcliffe I knew talent. I think that's very clear.
Yeah, that's what makes it such a shame. It's just because Cut knew how to recruit and make impact on people's lives, and you'll never ever hear a person who's met him speak ill of him ever.
Nope.
But that's part of why Elko had it so good when he came in because he inherited a roster that was elite in terms of talent. It just wasn't being utilized the right way.
And one big thing Elko didn't have the liability of was working with some of the old, people that had stuck around with Cutcliffe maybe longer than they should have. Just talking about Roper, all respect, all love to him, but brother, I mean, we all know Cutcliffe is a loyal man and one of the best people you'll ever meet. But that was kind of towards the beginning of your career, what kind of led to a little bit of Duke's decline, because as you were referring to, the talent level was there. Our recruiting, especially with Guerreri and Albert, those guys were just nailing classes for us. And, when Elko came in and kind of just bought a fresh group of staff with them, it kind of made everything seem like it pieced the puzzle together almost. And phenomenal to watch for sure. And really just crazy to see your story and journey through Duke football. Reminds me of just Duke football in general. The highest of the highs, the lowest of the lows, and you just don't know when it was going to come for sure.
And the span of 4 years too, highest of highs and lowest of lows within the span of 4 years. That's so crazy.
It felt like you were at Duke for a decade. How high and low it got. For sure.
I was there for 4.5 years, and then the first 3 years, I think we won maybe 8 total games. I think if that's right.
Chase Bryce.
And
then we Chase transferred to App where I was in school and then broke the Sun Belt record.
You know what? Year. I was like Chase, and speaking of Chase is a good dude, man. He was good. I like Chase when he was here. He doesn't have enough time in our system. And that's why I tell people, everybody, oh, this, that, and third. I'm like, bro, playing Division I quarterback at a P5 level, we opened up 2020 against Notre Dame, best O-line in the country that year. I think they went to playoff that year too.
Yeah.
It's not like we were playing some scrubs. And I remember that year we came back to school July 12th, worked out for a week and a half, and then went to fall camp.
That's so crazy.
And you talk about a system that, I can't really speak to offense, but, whatever the system was over there, it just is hard to put an offensive system when you don't have your OTAs, you don't have, all these meetings. And I mean, every meeting looked like this. Like we're hitting, you're talking to each other, and nobody's, I don't care, bro. What profession, what level, whatever. It be sports, not sports. If you're on a Zoom meeting, bro, we're not locked in, bro. Like this is just how it
Yeah.
goes. And it's just hard.
But that's another thing too, is like I've known some people who are close to the program. They talk about like Duke was like trying to do like the right thing and like follow every COVID protocol like to a T during that era. But it's like it was so intense to the point where like you guys weren't getting in like the proper reps and practice and everything. So it's like you guys couldn't, like you're saying, you couldn't grow as a team if you're doing everything over Zoom all the time. But it's
Yep.
so funny, like you're saying, starting out the 2020 season against Notre Dame. Let's take it back one season. Your first season at Duke, opening up against Alabama in the Chick-fil-A like NCAA kickoff.
That had to be a hell of a welcome to college moment.
Yeah, what was that like?
Bro. So it's funny, like I always think about it too. Like people like, why Duke, right? And if we weren't competing at a high level one, you don't get that game on accident. Like first
Yeah.
of all, but, like that's the thing I always tell people. Like, oh, how'd you guys end up in this? But you don't get it on accident. Like you do your research. Like we were winning. Also, we just had the sixth pick in the 2019 NFL draft. Like it's not like there was nobody there. But even thinking back to it, especially being my first college football game, not knowing if I was going to get in, not knowing how everything worked, but I didn't really know how warm ups and stuff went. I just remember like going out there pre-game, like before we actually like put our pads on and stuff, kind of taking all in. And I'm freaking an 18-year-old kid, bro. I'm looking at a team from Alabama, that everybody idolized growing up. I don't care what type of fan you are, who you like. Like it was always respect for Saban and whatever he did, and especially his core group. That core group just happened to be 4 first-round receivers, first-round quarterback, first-round running back. Like, so you talk about in their front five was Landon Dickerson just got paid a whole bunch of money. There's a whole bunch of guys on that front five that are still playing in this league, making a lot of money. And even on the defense side of the ball, whether you talk about the safeties in their secondary and the guys up front, and I always mess with Monk because, Monk started every game as a true freshman. And I'll never forget, who was it? Maybe it was Xavier McKinney. I think it might have been him if he was on that team. But I remember this Monk was pulling around. But that dude came downhill so fast from like 20 yards and cleans Jacob, like cleans him. And I'm like, but that was a DB. Like, I'm like, but that was a DB, like, right? So, I'm on the sideline watching. I don't get in the game to like kind of third, fourth quarter. And I'm sitting on the sideline kind of like, I'm zoned out. We losing at this point. I'm like, it's pretty cool though. Like, I'm looking around trying to find everybody. And Coach Albert like yells my name. He's like, Dwayne. I'm, yeah, whatever now. He's like, Dwayne. You know what I mean? The dude like, I'm like this. I'm like, me. And I remember it was one of the old guys grabs me and just throws me like towards the field. And I was like, oh shoot, I'm in. And that was like kind of my first play. And it was funny because my first rep was a pass rush. I'll never forget this because it was against Landon Dickerson. At the time he was projected to go real high in the draft. Like obviously one of the dominant offensive linemen in college football. And I just remember I didn't win the rep, but on contact, I kind of drove him back a little bit. I was like, all right, I can do this, right?
Yeah,
And it was kind of like, and it was like, all right, I can do this. And I was kind of like, all right, let me settle in and play my game. And actually, I missed the TFL that game. I had just jumped through the line on a stretch play. And like I saw the running back, I just dove like because I got excited. I ended up missing it, but Drew ended up cleaning it up. But it's just funny, like you think about that game, bro. And I just remember being like a starstruck 18-year-old kid, like, bro, like I'm in college football, but not only am I in college football, I'm on the highest stage right now. There is no higher game than the one we were in at that point. So,
it's always funny how like Duke always opens with either like the most underwhelming week one game or like the brightest lights week one game. Like we're either opening on a Thursday night against Elon or it's like Saturday night against Alabama and there's no in between, dog. It's so funny. It's so funny. Well, you probably know this, bro, but like you obviously you didn't play like a ton of 2019, but like you had one tackle on the year and that came in that game, which is pretty sick. Like how many games did you appear in 2019, do you know?
Bro, so I played Alabama. We played North Carolina A&T week 2. I got in. And then I went Virginia. I think Congo had a concussion, so I was at Virginia game. And I think that was it. I think because that was the first year the redshirt rule went in effect where kids can play 4 games or whatever.
Yeah.
Give a redshirt. So I didn't know what they were trying to do at first because I think they saw, they saw the potential of what I could be, but also like we had an old front. Like Edgar Serno was still there. Well, EA was there for 6 years. Trayvon was there for 5. It's like we had some real like OGs on the D line, so it really wasn't no need for me to play. So I think that's really how they played it.
Yeah, yeah. Noah, you take over for a minute.
Yeah, for sure. So, kind of getting into, not to just discredit 2020 or 2021, but we've definitely been touching on them. But after the 2021 season, of course, our GOAT, our savior, David Cutcliffe, got let go from the program.
Yeah.
As a player, and that was, kind of the beginning of what felt like the shift and tides changing in college football when it comes to transferring, coaching staffs, rollovers, things like that, creating almost full team swaps. Going through and not on, that coaching change, what was kind of the vibes like locker room wise, in that off season, after cut? Were you guys, as a team, did it feel like everybody was trying to rally together to wait and see who the new guy was going to be?
Yeah.
And then kind of what was the reaction whenever you guys found out who Nina got for the program?
Yeah, bro, that's a good question because I remember that day vividly. Right after that Miami game, they kicked our freaking teeth in, bro. I'll never forget that. But it was just a point like
Manny was a head coach too, which is
yeah,
crazy.
Manny was that coach.
Like dog us.
And it's like, bro, like I just remember because actually they gave me a fake punt that game. I got freaking flipped on my neck. I'll never forget that. I thought I was concussed. But anyway, besides I remember after that game, it was just weird. Like we come to the locker room. It wasn't like Coach Cut-esque, like how it went. But also it was last game of the year. We had, older guys, leadership positions, stuff like that. It's like you just tell like it wasn't their heart wasn't in it, they were ready to go. And there wasn't like any focus before the game. So I knew we were gonna lose. That's how it went. Because the type of year that was, bro, it was like, bro, like, I just keep doing what I'm doing, go ahead, graduate, and then, we might have to look at this portal. And that was before obviously the portal really got big. And, it was July 1st, 2021 is really when NIL started jumping. So they came in that Sunday. We had a team meeting, and this is never good. Same thing happened with Elko. We'll get a random teamwork message. Hey, team meeting in an hour. Here we go. Like it's just, and it's labeled deja vu with Elko. But they called it. Nina came in, kind of addressed us as a team. Her and our Chase talked about the decision, whatever, and then Coach cut for a second, and then that was it. Very abrupt. Like it wasn't like any next steps. Like it was kind of just like on standby until we figure out what's going on. It doesn't help too because at that point everybody's getting ready to go on a Christmas break. So you got guys with maybe a year or two left trying to figure out, like who's our head coach going to be? Are we still going to be terrible? Should I transfer? Should I do this? I'm about to graduate. What do I do? And we had a lot of those conversations as guys, and it's like at the time, like I said, the portal wasn't what it is now. Because if it was, bro, I bet you that whole roster would have left. To be honest with you. I think I would have stayed just for the degree piece, to be honest.
Yeah.
But there was a lot of guys, who were unhappy anyway. And it just makes sense, especially when you bring in, the NIL factor. And, we had a lot of talented guys, like we talk about, that could have made, a lot of money, myself included, but decided to stay and, play for Duke. So I'll never forget, I came back from break in January, whatever the semester started. And at the time, Coach Elko was hired, Coach Feely was hired, and that was it. Mm. So we didn't know, like, so talk about making a bad situation worse. We had a head coach who couldn't make any hires. We had a strength coach with no staff either at the time. And then we just had, like, I think equipment and athletic training were the only staffs that were still there. And, obviously, end of the week, it got better. Like, we got our staff together. But it's just, I remember coming back in a situation like, bro, like, what am I doing? And then it got to the point, all right, that was after my first year. I was named captain as a team. So guys are asking me, guys are looking at me like, what do we do? What does this look like? How are you feeling? Are you staying? Do you believe in this? And I never forget this, like, and obviously not to make myself sound like, here, that's not what I'm trying to do. This league, what happened, like the conversations I had. And it was just, bro, like, I'm going to stick it out, bro. Like, Elko's pedigree, his history, he's a winner. He's a smart football coach. I didn't know anything about Coach Philly. And that kind of speaks for itself in the transition that we had. I mean, you guys could probably see it when we came out in 22. We played
Oh,
Temple, and not that Temple was, any world beaters or anything, but we absolutely just beat them up like the entire game. And that kind of became our MO, and that was the grittiness, and you could feel the pain from that team. That 22 team, like, it's probably the closest team I've ever been a part of in my life. And that was a team who was motivated, and that was a team who, remember, Elko and Felix had told us to jump off a roof, and I bet you we would have did it. Like, it was just funny because, like, bro, you hit rock bottom. There's nowhere else to go, and you have a guy Coach Elko, who came in day one. And it's like, listen, I can't promise you nothing. I can't promise you're going to win. I can't promise you this, but I promise you I'll give you a chance. I promise you this. And then Philly gets up and says what he does, and it's like, I can get behind these guys. And then we go to our first workout with Coach Philly. I'll never forget this, bro. We're warming up, and we can't get the stretch commands right. Like, we couldn't do something on time, like, as a group. We couldn't do it. Like, Lee cannot figure it out. And this isn't young guys. This is like me, Monk, Graham, like, whoever you think of in that group. Like, we were all in that group. Bro, he up, down us 80 times. I'll never forget this. 80 straight. Like, this is the first day we ever met the dude, like, in the weight room setting. Like, bro, 80 straight. And, I'm trying to be, come on, guys. We hit like 25. I'm crawling off the ground, bro. I'm like, bro. And he didn't stop. And by the time we get to the weight room, bro, it's like 5 minutes left. We'll do something with the bar, bro. He's like, man, get out of here. You waste my time. And we all sat in the locker room and kind of just looked at each other like, bro, like, what did we get ourselves into? But from that point on, bro, it was like, you could click. And I think it just showed in 22, like, what type of team we are and what we were capable of, and really a team that should have been the AC championship, but it's neither here nor there.
100%.
Dude, on that
That's
note, oh, I was just gonna
oh
say
yeah.
real quick. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that was kind of like 2022. All of us, we were Duke fans in the early 2000s, pretty much our childhood. So we went through a lot of the suck, and then kind of in our teenage years, it got really promising, fun. It felt like, wow, now I understand why my parents were dragging me to games. Like, this is worth it. And then kind of, in our, early adult years, it kind of felt like the decline started back again. And it was like, damn, season tickets every year, going to all these games, and same old things that had happened whenever we were young. And then 2022 came around, and there was a lot of uncertainty, like you were saying. Nobody really knew anything about the staff other than where they came from, what they were known for. But you guys it felt whenever you just watched the games that there was a bond, a coalition, a toughness that hadn't been there in 3 or 4 years, really.
Yep.
And that kind of brought a lot of like fan life back into, I think, a lot of people's perspective of Duke football, because it was falling off again very quickly.
100%, bro. Like, I just remember, like, I used to hate playing at home. Like, bro, first I used to hate it, bro. Like, I hate to say it, like, I despise it. Like, and that was us as a collective, bro. Like, because we'd be complaining, like, we weren't getting our teeth kicked in, but like nobody wants to run out there and see, like, just you guys and like our parents behind us.
Oh, we know.
And that's how it was, bro. It's like, and I just remember, like, 2022. That's another reason why I respect Coach Elko, and the plan that he brought was the fan engagement. I don't know if you guys remember, like, the spring game in 22. Like, they had us doing all these promos. Like, I was out there with the sign. Like, we had guys giving out gear, like, doing all the trends and stuff. And that's kind of, our social media team is next to, like, Rebel.
Yeah, bro.
They do a good job. But I just remember, bro, like, the fan engagement itself. Like, bro, it's a good time, bro. It's one of my, like, core memories is 2022, that season.
Bro, there's still, like, if anytime you go on, like, Twitter or, like, any app that has, like, GIFs and you type in, like, Duke football, it's, like, all GIFs from 2022 of, like, you and Monk and Barton and Fuv when he was wearing 92. Like, it's all those GIFs. Like, that was just all, like Elko, like really, like, saved the program from falling into a free-for-all, honestly. But, like, bro, like, you were talking about, like, Duke football is up against so much when it comes to attendance. Like, even like now, like, we're on the heels of like 2 really solid years, especially by Duke football standards. And like, you can still always bet on like conference games being like 60-70% full. We have like this running joke that like the reason Duke has a home field advantage and like does so well at home is because the silence at Wallace Wade is
The
deafening.
deafening silence of all.
Bro, we
Bro.
hate it. Like we wish that like more people would like come out for you guys, but like it's just it's I don't know. I don't know what there can be done to change it. But like you like that 2022 season like you're talking about like legit like should have been competing and were competing for the championship. Like 3 losses or 4 losses in the regular season and I think all of them were by a combined like 15 points or something like
Bro,
that.
15 total, bro. We lost to Chapel Thrill on that 2-minute drive. We went up to Pittsburgh and ended up losing that game. But we didn't give up a first down in the entire second half, but ended up losing that game. And we lost.
Pigeon game.
And then we lost to, I can't remember the third loss we had. I
The
can't remember.
pigeon game, yeah.
But even like just think about that year. It was, did we lose to Virginia that year?
That
Yeah.
was the we went to Kansas and lost, I think.
That's
Oh,
right.
yeah,
We played Jan Downs.
Yeah.
Well, that Kansas team's legit, dude.
Yeah, that was a good Kansas team.
They hosted their first college game day that season too. They were legit.
You want to talk about loud, bro? Lawrence, Kansas, I swear to you, to this day, is one of the loudest stadiums I've ever played in my life. I couldn't believe, bro. You know, like obviously the historic, it's kind of similar to Duke, and you know they talk about basketball stuff like that.
Yeah.
But their fans travel. I'll never forget it, bro. Porter was trying to punt the ball, and like you know, I called the command for the punt, bro. I screamed, snap the ball to Evan Deckers 4 times, and I'm 5 yards away from him. He couldn't hear me, bro. Like I'm behind him, I'm screaming, I'm jumping, and he would not snap the ball. We get the
That's so crazy.
and because the whole time it's just Rob, Chalk, Jay, Hawk. Like, bro, it's crazy. They stormed the field. Like, I couldn't believe it, bro. Like, I forgot we even lost that game.
Bro,
Like,
I forgot that you were on punts. That's so funny.
Bro, punt, KOR, field goal. I did it all, bro. For whatever reason, they saw that in me, bro.
That rocks. Also, speaking of environments, I have a buddy who played OT at Carolina in the 2010s before you, but actually he spent time in the NFL. His name is Landon Turner.
Yeah.
He talks about probably one of the most hostile environments to play in the ACC, and I'll get your thoughts on this. Is Bobby Dodd Stadium in Atlanta. He says there's like about this much room between the stands and the visitors bench. Is that accurate?
Bro, so we all know Georgia Tech, bro. Georgia Tech is a trap team for anybody in the country.
Yeah.
Regardless of how good they are, they'll always be labeled as a trap team.
Yep.
Right? Because they're just gritty, especially now Coach Key. I love, you know, what they got going on down there because, you know, my guy Coach Simpson's down there. That's my guy. But I respect their program a lot. But I remember in 2022 we went down there. That was 22 when Mir took the punts back to the house twice or something, whatever it was. So we did the fourth quarter. That was weird. But, bro, their third down song was Nardo Wick, Who Wants Smoke With Us? Right? Or Who Wants Smoke With Me? Bro, it's so loud in there. Their bleachers rattle. Like, it's like old school bleachers. It rattles on top of their student section in the corner and whatever else. It doesn't even feel like the game was that packed. It was a homecoming game. But it still wasn't, like, sold out. But, bro, we're on the sideline, like, screaming at each other. I can't hear the punt calls. I can't hear the signals, nothing. Like, Bobby, I don't know what it is, bro. It's just Georgia Tech itself. Bro, like, I don't know what they got, bro, with voodoo, black magic. I don't know what they got. But they got something, bro, because I hadn't beat Georgia Tech since I was 18 years old.
Tech is the only team that can go 6-6 every year with 6 wins against ranked teams.
Bro,
and 6
literally, bro.
losses against unranked
Literally, bro.
teams. Like, it's fucking absurd. I just don't understand.
Bro, because even, like, I think back to all the losses I had against them, bro. Freaking, we go there in 2020. Jahmyr Gibbs is an 18-year-old true freshman. Goes for almost 200, blows out his hamstring. Like, in the third quarter, like,
We got him to win it, that's for sure.
Like, and friggin', we end up losing to them, going back and forth. They come in 2021. Jeff Sims is there. He's having his breakout year. Jahmyr Gibbs is still there. They hit us with a wheel on the sideline. We go back, punch on the mouth. We come all the way back. And Jeff Sims throws it off his back foot and puts it right in the breadbasket. Like, J. Lou was in perfect coverage. I'll never forget this because, like, J. Lou was right there, back hit where you're supposed to be, and he threw it off his back foot and 50-yard pass. We lose the game. Like, 2022, we lose the game again on a freaking phantom offensive pass interference call on the screen. Like, bro, I can leave. Like, it's those losses for me, like, it's just something. I just walk in the locker room, I'm like, bro, like, what happened? Like,
how'd that happen?
Like, what happened, bro? You know, all respect to them. Like I said, I love that program.
That's my thing, like, with Georgia Tech. I think we talked about some last year. It's like people talk about, oh, Duke, Carolina, Duke State, Duke and Wake. It's like, no, the weirdest things happen in Duke and Georgia Tech games, even
Every
going
year.
back to like 2010. Like, even back then, like the Hurricane game was Georgia Tech, I think, one
Yeah,
time.
Hurricane Martha. We played Georgia Tech, and Jeremy Cash forced like 33
Yeah.
fumbles one game. It was just ridiculous.
It's I don't know, bro. I don't know what they got going on down there, bro.
I fuck with Georgia Tech though. I went down there last year for the game on a whim. I got a cheap flight and I went and just talk about a game like just like where nothing happened. It reminded me of like the UVA game in 23 where just like
Oh,
it was just kind of nothing going on. Like that game was just totally left out on the field, but I like Bobby Dodd. Their fans were actually chill to me. Georgia Tech is a cool campus.
It's a great
dope,
place to
bro.
catch a game.
It's right there in the city too. I think it's. I didn't realize it was right in the city.
Yeah,
Oh,
like right
It's
there.
dope, bro.
Well,
and so
cool.
speaking on 23 there, Eli, kind of moving on from 22, we started off with a bang in 23. Kind of the focal point of our adulthoods,
Yep.
the kind of the peak of our existence as
Became a
Duke
man that
football
day.
fans. Labor Day Monday,
Yep.
ESPN standalone game,
The
and
shoe game.
I always tell this story to the boys and stuff when we get to talking. First time I ever met you was at Shooters the spring before of 23, and I met Cole Finney when I was buying a beer, and just off the most randomest shit. And just first thing I say is, we're beating Clemson. Just I believed it, was in on it, and then the game rolls around, and it was almost like Duke as the whole community at the tailgate. Everyone you talked to had money on the game in Duke's favor, or was telling people like there's just something in the air. And then some of your thoughts, the experience of how that game went down for sure.
Yeah, bro. So 23. First of all, shooters, legendary. Shout out Miss Kim. Shout out Miss Kim. That's my dog. Shooter, legendary. But anyway, bro. So 23, right? And you talk about the spring lead into 23. It was interesting. I'll talk about me personally because I ended up I tore my labrum during 22 season in that Virginia Tech game. I actually tore my labrum, so I played the rest of the season. Got surgery after the season. So all season is real weird for me. And I wouldn't really come back. I didn't play anything ball until camp, I think. And I did something to my hip in camp, so I kind of missed that. And I really didn't get back to practicing until the first week of the Clemson, like prep week. So that was a whole different dynamic for me, especially, with all the, league expirations and the preseason this and preseason that. And, you try not to read into it. But for me, I'm usually pretty good about it, but I was bad about it, bro. I was regardless. But then you talk about the belief, right? We're talking about a 23 team who will have, I can't even put a number of NFL players we'll have on that team. But I genuinely feel like 23, we went in that spring, it was hungry because we knew we could do it. Right? We played the highest levels against teams who were in the AC championship, teams going to all these bowl games, beating these SEC teams, beating whoever was Big Ten. Like, we were competing and we were winning and dominating. We were stronger, we were faster, we were bigger. It's just, a couple things don't happen and didn't go our way. But 23, it was almost like, all right, Elko and them went out to get, they got my boy Al, they got my boy Miles, and we got young Shannon in the slot who's strapping anybody who steps in front of him. We had a D line with should be 4 NFL players on there. At the time, it would have been me, Aeneas, Jamie, RJ, BJ and West about to get drafted this year.
Oh,
West comes out. I don't know if it depends, obviously, whatever. But it's just, you look at like the talent we had linebackers behind us. I'm with Trey Freeman. We had Cam Dillon, dude out of freaking Columbia. Who knew he would be a dog?
Crash out Cam.
Like, crash out Cam, bro. Cam is just good to just go in there and wreak havoc. And then obviously we talked about our secondary and more NFL players on our secondary. And you look on the other side of the ball, we had a kid named Riley Leonard who everybody wanted to disrespect in 22. Then we go out there and put up X amount of yards a game. Like you said, KJ, I was dying it up. J5 was getting open. Nicky was getting open before he got hurt. We had we had really 3 running backs, but we had 2 running backs in J7 and my boy Quez, who didn't matter who had the ball, bro.
was.
And we had an O-line, most importantly, that was dogs, bro. Like,
Ridiculous.
you talk about, like, it was just a mentality that we had between Philly and Elko. Like, Elko used to be like, bro, we move people. Like, that's all you say. Like, he say, with some different words that I shouldn't say online, but he just be like, we move people. So that was the mentality. So you look at that, bro. Like, I'm looking at this, like, all right, NFL, whatever, NFL. It wasn't even that. It was dogs, bro. Like, everybody I go up against each day, we look each other in the eyes, we compete. Whether we're racing, we're bear crawling, we're wrestling, it's one-on-ones, whatever it is, bro. Like, it was competition, and we were working towards the goal. It wasn't like, all right, last year was like the Cinderella. 22 was the Cinderella. Can we do it? Can Elko put it together? Can Ryan Leonard play quarterback at this level? Can whatever? Like, it was all these question marks, right? So 23 was no question marks. We went and filled in our quote-unquote question marks through the portal, got a couple of key additions, but at the same time, too, it's that Duke core that had been there for, 4 or 5 years at that point, 3, 4, 5 years, all those guys. And it wasn't, all right, let's win one game. Oh, let's beat Clemson, and then let's hang our hat for the rest of the year because everybody else celebrated. Or we beat Clemson now. Let's get game day here, and we'll be happy if game day comes. Like, it was never that, bro. It was always like on the next. It was strictly business because we knew we wanted to be a championship team, and and we should have been a championship team. I mean, obviously you can't shoulda, woulda, coulda. There's no what ifs in football. There's no hypotheticals. But everything got to go right injuries wise. We lost a lot of guys that year. But even through that, we still won 8 games. But you talk about the mentality and I remember that spring vaguely. It was, it was all work, but the guys have a lot of fun. And that's the thing. We were truly friends. So we're always out on the weekends hanging out, whatever. But at the end of the day, bro, when it was time for work, it was time for work. And we knew what the goal was. It was championship. It wasn't nothing else. That's what it was. And then what better way than to go out there on Monday night when the only show on TV against Clemson, historic Clemson, all this, whatever. And then, of course, Dabo starts talking about the long walk to the stadium, all the memes that started coming out, right? And it was like, man, is this Duke team for real? And you don't read into the noise, but you hear it.
For sure.
You hear it, especially when I'm sitting in the house all day watching game day, and all this is like, let's talk about this week 1 matchup. How did we get here? Why is Clemson going to Duke? All this stuff, bro. Like, I never forget like the animosity that we had for every opponent that we played.
Yeah, that 23 team, the injury bug just kind of felt like the story of the season after Notre Dame. And of course, speaking on Notre Dame, as much as I think
Duke beat Clemson and nothing bad happened after that the rest of the year. Everything
12-0.
Nothing ever happened.
But Notre Dame, you guys got game day there. First time in Duke's history. Really special in growing the fan base and the brand of Duke football. As you know, Duke deals with a lot of people who seem to be on the fence about rooting for football. They'll cheer for basketball, but they like to go back and forth a little on football, and they're warranted. It's not built for everybody after how bad it was for so long, years and years ago. But that seemed to be one of the biggest things for modern Duke football in growing the fan base. And just what was the kind of vibes like knowing that you guys brought game day to Duke, like the mecca of college football, the game of the day, game of the week, having Kirk and the boys, all that.
Yeah, bro. So you talk about that, right? It's like, I said, like, it was never the goal, and I was never like, oh, we want to be game day, we want to do this. Like, bro, it's college game day, dude. Like, bro, everybody knows what game day is, bro. Football fan, non-football fan, male, female, whoever. Like, everybody knows what game day is, bro. I don't care who you are. So I just remember, like, probably Thursday, Friday, whenever they started setting up. I remember I'm leaving the facility, actually, like at night, and I see the bus pull up. And it was kind of like, oh, shit, like, this is real. Like, this is one of the things, like, it kind of set in, like, shoot, like, all right, we kind of did this. This is pretty cool, right? And then it went to, I remember me and a couple of guys, we ended up walking onto the quad from the chapel, just kind of just looked, at the setting, because obviously we weren't going to get to see it. We had bigger fish to fry. But I just remember walking out there and just kind of just standing there, bro, and just looking. And it was almost like it wasn't even necessarily like game day itself, more so like knowing what we did as a collective, knowing what my senior class did. And we did, essentially everything we set out to do, except for winning HC championship. That was the only thing we didn't do as far as changing the narrative of Duke football. And I just remember being 18-year-old kids in a dorm in the summer in June, talking about what we were going to do, how we are going to transcend Duke football, how we are going to change the narrative, how we were going to win ball games, we are going to play at high level, we are going to, achieve all our dreams, do what we are going to do. And that was honestly like, to be honest, that was like the full circle moment for me, bro. Like I walked out on there, quiet, just kind of looked around, like, bro, we did this. And like even
Yeah.
like going to class and stuff, like it wasn't. And obviously you don't do it for the notoriety, but like it's people. Hey, bro, good game. Bro, good luck this week, bro. I'm so excited, bro. I got my tickets, bro. I'm waking up at 3, bro. I'm gonna be first in line. And it wasn't even just game day. It was a Clemson game. It's Carolina. It's a regular or whoever we play in ACC, like a big time game. It just became so natural and so normal for us to be celebrated as a program and the respect that we gain not only on campus but nationally. And even like through my draft process, I think that that helps a lot too when you're on a team that's respected. You have a lot of NFL coaches from all over all 32 teams and personnel. They're like, man, you play for a good staff, and Coach Elko, Coach Simpson, all these guys, KJ, whoever it is, like they got a lot of respect around the league, and what we did was well respected. And also, I'm talking to other players from other teams. Like, I'm not gonna lie, bro. Like, you guys were the best team we played against, best friend, especially Notre Dame. Because really, Notre Dame, that one hurt, bro. Like, that one hurt.
Oh
Especially,
yeah.
and you talk about, we talk about the definite silence of Wally Wade, right? But Wally Wade in them last whatever minutes, it's a lot of
So
fame.
loud.
Literally might be one of the last games I ever played in, bro.
Bro, there's
Yeah.
video of Marcus Freeman saying that. He was like, dude, yeah. He was like, crowd noise does play a factor. I think back to Duke in 2023.
Bro,
My ears were ringing walking out of Wallace Wade that night. Like,
it was talk about the biggest headache for multiple reasons.
yeah,
But you talk about the noise, because I remember when that 2-minute drive started, there's actually a picture of me. It's one of my favorite pictures. I would have posted if you would have won. But there's a picture of me, like the first play they tried to run, it was a false start. Of course, you guys probably remember what I'm talking about because it was right in the end zone,
yep.
right in front of where y'all be at.
Scums.
And I just remember Sam Hartman's back there. Snap the ball. Snap the ball. Yeah, that was pretty dope too.
Bro, that's the one
That,
right there. I know what you're talking about.
that was pretty dope. But I remember Sam was yelling at his center, snap the ball. And the dude is just, so I'm like, bro, I'm not even in my stance. I'm looking at him like, he really can't hear him. So whatever, it was timeout, false start, whatever it is. I remember the penalty flag went out. Went up a whole nother level. Dude, they mess up the snap again. I'm like, oh my God. Like, bro, we're on the one. I'm like, no way in hell we lose. Like, but like, it just gets a point. Like, it was just so many things were going right. Obviously, you can't get complacent. Of course, I was out there playing hard. But it was just like, bro, things were happening. I'm like, bro, this is our home stadium. Like, this is what it's supposed to look like. This is where, like, and even when we lose, right? Like, nobody wants to lose. But to be able to see, and it might sound messed up, but to be able to see tears in like our home fans' faces,
Yeah.
and actually the distraughtness of the ill
Yeah.
outside of just us, I think also spoke to something bigger. And obviously
Yeah.
we wanted to win, and the way the game ended was literally just might be top 5 like Final Destination type of movie type of thing. But it's just I just think back to those moments all the time, and we talk about it all the time, bro. All the guys around the game.
Yeah,
Before
dude.
that game, like you were just saying, like Duke fans being in tears and being distraught, you have to go back to when Miami ripped our hearts out on Halloween back in 2015 with the lateral game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a long gap of like just numb,
Just apathy.
just being there, just numb and present, and
Yeah,
then
bro.
that Notre Dame game, it's almost like reality came back to us. Like, oh my God, just the pain, the suffering
Yeah.
of
It's just,
football.
yeah, it's like that. We always say like that loss and then like SMU last year, like legit, like
But that was ridiculous.
the
That was
car
ridiculous.
ride home, you're just silent, no music, no talking. I remember so like both days, just like
But that
sitting
was
at
ridiculous.
breakfast the next morning, just like zoning out, just like depressed and playing it over in my head. But like seeing like for you guys, like you were talking about like running out at Wallace Wade in like 2019, 2021, just seeing nobody except like us and then your parents. And then it's just like, it's like for us as fans, like we've been doing this shit like our whole lives. And like we've seen the lows, we've seen the highs, but like to see Wallace Wade, like the peak of Duke football in what, probably 90 years or something like that.
That's
I
the
just,
61 Orange Bowl.
yeah, just saying full, not even full, but like extra stands added, no like standing room only, just like how loud. Like I go back and like I legit
It's
have
crazy.
screen recordings from the TV broadcast in my phone from like when Mo Bamba was playing on third down, like under
Bro,
2 minutes ago.
legendary, legendary.
And they're showing everybody in the crowd just going like this and like standing on the ledges, like just I still to this day get cheers and like they're chills. And if I let it, it could bring tears. Like that's how much that shit meant to us.
That's real, bro. And it's like, and it's funny because like I went back and I didn't even think I watched the film of that game, to be honest with you, outside of like being in the meetings, whatever. But I did go back and watch on TV just to see the atmosphere, and it honestly reminded me like high school atmosphere, right? We had the whole basketball team in the front row, men's and women's, turning up the student section, like student section leaders. Our
Yeah.
student section was in tune. Parents going, we had. I didn't know they were doing all the towels. They put all the towels out, bro. Everybody swinging the towels like it was like a terrible towel or something. Like, but it was just the atmosphere is insane. And you talk about like I get chills about it every time I talk about it, and it's just so crazy, bro. Because I just know that team was special, and not take anything away from what we did. We still finished the year strong, whatever. But it's just I just know that team was special. But I knew we were meant to do so much more. This might not, been in the plans, whatever. But it's how life goes.
Bro, we all just start
Yeah,
crying on this pod over the Notre Dame game. We all just like start
Bro.
crying.
Well, even
that's
though you think about it, that's crazy.
that's one thing. Before getting to the end of the year, that Notre Dame game, just how, like Eli was saying, the way to seeing you guys run out on that field and just the theatrics of it all. It finally almost felt full circle as to like the everything I've sat through the
Yeah.
98-degree September games against Northwestern with 40 other fans, the rain
Rich.
games, the 0-12s in 2005. Everything was just worth it. And then going back on the TV and hearing Kirk Herbstreit and Chris Edwards call a Duke football game
From Blue
and
Devil
just
Tower.
I
Yeah.
mean, and just hearing them talk about Duke and like the changing of the program, even though I couldn't watch the end of it, it was everything they said during the game about the team and Duke football. We've never got to hear anything like that before. Duke had never been the spotlight, and that was just real special for sure. And like you said, getting into kind of the end of the year stuff of 23, rallying strong is kind of the focal point I definitely want to touch on with this. You guys, all the grit and toughness I think that you've talked about and that you guys showed really came together at the end of 2023.
Yeah.
When we all know what happened, we all know Elko leaving to go to A&M, how it went down, the fallout from those events, and just, I mean, yet again, another coaching change, even though it being your last year is a little different, but also still some of the same decisions, not necessarily transferring, but do I sit out? Is there even a team to play for? Is it worth it? Things like that. And you guys and Trooper Taylor, and all, of course, me and Eli ran into you in Birmingham, and just being around the team and stuff during that weekend was really special. But kind of go through that process and just from us finding out to the Birmingham Bowl and just what it felt like to get that last win for everybody.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best representation of who we are as a program, and what type of guys we have and type of foundation that we had. Right. So you talk about a foundation, talk about a building, bro. No building's good without a foundation. It's going to crumble eventually. No matter what it is, how it happens, it's going to crumble. So talk about a foundation, right? We lose. Miles was out basically the whole year with his hamstrings. Graham was banged up the whole year, couldn't really play. Riley ends up basically breaking his freaking leg in that nasty injury. But then the grittiness in him to come back, we go to the Florida State and, do what he did in another game that we could talk about. But it's just the grittiness of the program. I can highlight a whole bunch of guys because there's a lot of guys that played hurt that year, and you guys know that. And I just remember, I'd probably say, I think 2 games, if I had to like pinpoint them to kind of point our trajectory, was after Notre Dame, we went to Louisville or whatever it was, or NC State was first. I don't remember. But hey, we beat State at home. Like, beat them into the ground.
24-3.
Shit out of them.
We hate State on this pod,
like,
brother.
Bro,
we hate State.
I mean, I despise them too, but they act like they've won 1,000 national. That's regardless. Anyway, so we do that. And first of all, they ran off like 9 wins that year after that, which was crazy. But anyway, that was insane. But anyway, we beat them. Then we go to Louisville and get absolutely embarrassed. And I just remember like going to Louisville. I'm like, we're out here, no energy. It was dead. Everybody knew Riley was kind of banged up. Like, what's going on? But that was a top 20 matchup. I think we were like 16. They had just beat Notre Dame, so they were like 10. So, they were riding their momentum in. That was a ranked matchup, primetime noon. We go out there and, stink the bed up, lay an egg. Riley gets hurt again. It's like, bro, what's going on? So then you talk about resilience. We go down to FSU, down to Tallahassee, and do what we did there. And really, honestly, had them on the ropes of a freaking team with 22 NFL draft picks all in the first 4 rounds. Like, bro, we're giving it to them. And Riley's playing hurt, gritty, and obviously he ends up going down, but we ended up losing that game by a score or 2 or whatever it was. But it was just, bro, the whole year.
Yeah, just
whole year, right? But, the only thing that kept climbing, it was consistent, I think, was our attitude and our mindset and, the not quitting. So even go all the way to that Pitt game on senior day, we beat Pitt. And then obviously, Elko conference, whatever happens and stuff like that, he leaves. And then, like you said, it's a conversation of, oh, shoot, well, portal's open now. Some money on the floor. What do I do? Schools are calling me because, how college football stuff works. Everybody's got insider information for whatever. It's like guys are getting calls, guys are doing this. And it's kind of the same situation where I'm looking like, well, I'm about to leave, but I still care about y'all and I care about this program more than anything. And that's the last thing I want to do, right? Is me come out, go to the league, do what I do, whatever, handle my business. But then I'm watching a team that is terrible again. Not only terrible, but our core is gone.
Yeah.
And the standard is gone. Because at that time, and you talk about where, you said like it felt like the Notre Dame game, you kind of felt like it was full circle. Like we finally had tied the knot. Like we did it. Like we finally had peaked to where the standard should be. And that was my same thought process. Like, bro, we set the standard, whether it was, 8, 9 win season, whatever it was, Birmingham Bowl, whatever it was. It's like the standard can't go anywhere. We have a core. So I'm in guys' ears trying to, help them out and see what happens. And then luckily, Coach Diaz gets hired, another respectable coach, heck of a defensive coordinator at Penn State, great resume. But not only that, dude has a relationship with Coach Philly. So I was like, shoot, I'm all in. I'm all in on the program. I'm about in, and I still am to this day. The only thing I'm mad about is that SMU game, which we touched on a little bit. That's still the craziest thing to me. But
6 turnovers, a 0-point scored.
Yeah,
Hashtag Jonathan Brewer masterclass.
I don't know who would have said anything during that SMU game to cause things to go wrong.
I don't know what Tyler's username means at all. No correlation to SMU offensive performance.
Look, all I'm saying is who doesn't love a 3rd and 1 on your own 20-yard line, throw the ball 50 yards downfield and there's one route? Who doesn't like that? That's winning football.
Dwayne's like, legally I can't speak on this. I'm still pretty close to the program.
Nah, it's funny. I am. And then, those guys are welcome to open arms too. I think it's been dope.
Dude, that's the thing. Like, that's one of the beautiful things I've seen, like, with you. Like, I don't mean to interrupt, but like you and like other like former like Duke players like still super active on like Duke social media. Like I saw like just this morning, Crimroy on TikTok, which I don't know if you know this, but the kid he's literally 15.
Yeah,
he's tough. Whatever he does, he's tough. Every edit he makes is fire.
He made that Malik edit that like kind of made us all sad this morning. I saw like you commented, and I'm like, dog, like he didn't even play with Malik, and like he's in his fields. Like that's how close you are to the program.
Right, and that's what me and Malik actually became somewhat close because between draft training and stuff, like that's my boy, bro. I was back at school for a couple months, hanging out with all the guys and getting to know everybody. I mean, Malik, that's my dog, bro. Like I talk to Malik at least once a week, probably.
Right, we're big Malik fans.
We're Malik Homer, so
it's my dog. But it's funny.
I want to touch on one thing real quick. Looking back at 23, not to compare years or teams, but like I don't think people realized in 2023 the caliber of team we played every single week. Like that was one of the toughest schedules like in the country that year, and we got 8-9 wins out of that. Like even Troy, like they were 11-3 in the Sun Belt, but still like they weren't like. It wasn't like Elon. Like they won 11 games.
Well, Troy had 2 draft picks on that team too.
Yeah,
which is
and like State ended up being ranked. Florida State still had that was before Travis got hurt.
Back when they were
Louisville,
Florida State.
yeah,
Yeah, if we could have caught them 2 weeks later, we would have
yeah.
33-0 them boys. That's for sure.
Louisville
They were,
played for the ACC championship. Clemson had a down year and won 9 games.
yeah.
There was Notre Dame, and of course, we won't talk about Carolina.
Beat the piss out of UConn.
Well, even look,
You
even
can't.
even that 23 Carolina game, bro. Like, talk about young gunslinger Grayson Loftus
Yeah,
going
just
going
out
toe
there
to toe with Drake May.
dueling with Drake May.
Like, and you talk about I flushed a lot of that from the memory, but I forgot about that. That's just another indicator of like how deep we were in the connection as a team, right? Because Grayson's a stud. First of all, I think he'll do really well at Charlotte. I'm really good.
TC got a good one.
But I just remember he found he was starting Wake Forest or whatever.
Yeah, his Wake was his first start.
Wake was the first start. And so, our relationship was probably pretty decent. It grew from there. I kept telling him, bro, like, you're good, bro. You're good. You're going to ball. And I just remember that Carolina game, bro. It was a triple overtime. We got an interception on the sideline. They gave it to him. Like,
Oh my god!
And I'm
Two phantom calls in the same game.
I would never ever like refereeing a hard job, whatever. I never would disrespect referee, whatever. But there was definitely a couple of them in there. I'm like,
well, you could see the 20s sticking out of their back pockets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they weren't gonna let Mac lose that one.
And it's just like, bro, it was just crazy because like even then, bro, if we would have won that game, we still would have had a shot to go to the freaking ship. Like, bro, it's just
100%. Like that's just the roller coaster again. Would have been right there.
Would have carried the momentum into Virginia the next week. But yeah, like we always joke about, like Jim Phillips made the call. Like they weren't gonna let Drake May lose his last game against Duke at home.
bro.
Like that just wasn't gonna happen. And then to like make it even more like bitter, like Carolina was ranked 24th. We were unranked by this point, and they stormed the field.
Yeah.
And that's why like last year going to the Carolina game, I was like, bro, if we win this game, we're storming the field. I don't give a shit that we're 5-0. We haven't played anyone yet. Like we're storming this field if we win the game, just because they did it to us last year.
Of course. I damn near cried. Like I just remember, bro, because I'm watching on the so we were actually, what week was that? We were going to Baltimore. Actually, Baltimore kicked our teeth in that week.
Yeah, that was a rough night.
It was early in the year. I remember it was a travel day. We were playing, bro. So I was late. But I'm in a Duke travel suit. Like there's a picture of me literally on Twitter. I'm in the Duke like Hellraiser travel suit.
Hell yeah.
Traveling to the game, like, bro, I'm locked in the whole meeting. And like all our, a couple of our personnel, a couple of guys, like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? Like bro, leave me alone. Like, leave me alone. Bro, so between meetings, I'm locked. And so we had a meeting and I had missed like the kind of the end of the game. So I turned on like right as we won. Bro, I almost cried, bro. I really almost did.
That shit meant something.
Game for the ages.
Meant something to me, bro. I swear it did.
I'll never forget halftime of that game. Me and Eli were sitting beside each other.
Let me tell the story, Tyler, please.
Yeah.
I'm sitting next to Tyler at halftime, and he's sitting like the band is doing their halftime show, playing like Pink or Kesha or whatever they do for some reason, and Tyler is sitting there with like he's got his elbows on his knees, just like this, just shaking his head. I'm trying to talk to him, and he's just not even looking at me. He's just looking straight ahead.
Hello.
And he's like, bro, do we even practice during the week? Like, he's like, what do they do at practice? Like, what's going on?
It's so funny, bro, because I remember I'm laying in the hotel room too. I'm screaming, I'm yelling, I'm like, bro, there's nobody even on the field for them. I'm like, bro, how are we look like, bro? I was hot, like I'm hot, and it is funny because I did say that I turned the game off that time, turn it off. I was like, let me turn the game back on because I still got Twitter. I got Twitter notifications on, so I really was a fair weather fan at that point. But I can do that though. I played there too long. But it was funny because I remember thinking the same thing. I'm like, bro, who are we losing to right now? Like, because this was the first time in, 5 years? Yes, because I was there 5 years. They didn't have a quarterback they didn't have a quarterback that was in the first round draft pick.
Yeah, Sam Howell to Drake May.
Like, and it's the same thing. People talk about Clemson, too. Clemson was the same way. Once Trevor Lawrence and Deshaun Watson and DJ and all them boys they had went away, it was like, all right, we're human again. And, I mean, respect to Drake because, I play him twice a year now.
Oh, yeah.
It's just funny. I'm still chasing him around. But his bro, he's a hell of a player. He's made plays and freaking, what's his name, tore it up that receiver they had. Oh, Taz.
Yeah.
Taz Walker.
Yeah.
He had a game, bro. Yeah, squad, bro. And the freaking first round running back in the backfield. Like, and we had my boy Grayson, 3 starts underneath his belt. We're banged up everywhere.
Not even. That was the second start.
Captain's finest.
We put up 40-something points. We just couldn't get a stop to save our freaking lives, bro, because we couldn't run our
47,
defense right.
45. Ugh.
Jesus.
So I want to talk about that real quick because everyone talks about like, oh, Duke, UNC, like, oh, basketball, all this stuff. Like from a player's perspective, how big was that rivalry to you guys, like football wise? Like I know, like, oh, like we want to beat UNC every year, but like was that like the game for you guys too? Was that like a big
100%, bro. Like, and I mean, to put it in perspective, me being an Ohio kid, I'm a Ohio State like diehard growing up, right? So I was around the game, like, where I grew up, like Saturday when it's OSU Michigan, like the city shut down, unless it's like a bar watch party or whatever, restaurant watch party, but the city shuts down for a rivalry. So I'm like, yeah, bro, no way this rivalry is any good. Like, no way. Like, I just remember thinking, like, not downplaying it, but more so it's just like, yeah, it's probably not the same. And, you can't really compare rivalries because each hatred is different for different people, for different fan base and stuff. But I just remember in 2019, we lost on a jump pass.
Oh, God.
I just threw up.
I didn't play because it was my first year I wasn't playing. But I just remember, like, watching guys like Anchor Serenor, Trayvon, Trey Hornbuckle, like all these old guys, like, bro, they lost it. Like, bro. Like the entire like defense, offense, whether on the field, sideline, cussing everybody out, locker room, like, bro, like the passion behind that, and it wasn't like a negative connotation. It was just like, bro, like we really wanted that. Like this shit, it really means something to us. And I'm a young kid, like I'm kind of like in the back, like in my pads, just looking like, bro, what is going on, bro?
Just wide-eyed, clean uniform.
Bro, I'm literally just like, okay, like, bro, it was scary, bro. Like I'm talking about, bro, dudes is calling for coach's head, like everybody, like dudes were mad, bro, like really mad, like, and I'm like, bro, what is going on? And that's when I kind of saw like what it really meant. So like, I mean, my first really rivalry game was that 2019 jump pass. I mean, hell of a one to be a part of course.
Yeah.
But then our next real one wasn't until 22. Because 21 we weren't really any good either. And Sam Howell just kind of had his way.
Yeah.
But 22 was the first real like renewed Duke UNC rivalry. At least that's how I felt.
Some juice. And
bro, like same thing, all black, Hellraiser, sold out stadium. They got on their stupid chrome foot helmets, like bro, it was just like it was just something. It meant something to us, especially the renewed energy around the program, and for us to lose the way we did. I mean, that was probably the best game of my career. When I look back on it, I had freaking 3 sacks. I was balling. I was out of body. It was one of those
Drake May's ass. Yeah,
I was like out of body that game, bro. And I just remember I went in the locker room. I didn't shower for a while. Showered. I just sat in the car, like while my girlfriend just stared at me. Well, soon to be wife, but she kind of just looked at me because I mean we've been together since grade, so she kind of knows how I get about sports anyway. But I never forget that pain, bro, because that was one of the indicators that I knew like she was the one for real. Because like she knows how to react in those situations. Like she knows it takes a lot to get me mad, bro. I mean, you guys kind of know how I am, like, bro. I'm really just unless I'm on the field, like, bro, just how I am. I'm cool. But I just remember I literally just sat in blue zone, bro, and just kind of just all the way down in B6, just. And I looked at, I was like, bro, what just happened? She kind of looked at me like, I can't tell you. I'm not gonna say anything that'll piss you off, like, but I can't tell you. But it was just, bro, like that renewed rivalry in the sense of what it really means, and then obviously it helps that basketball is historic, of course, in that, and respectfully, rightfully so. But people downplay football too much and how much that really means to us.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, real quick on a lighter note, going back to the Black Heart Razors, what are your thoughts on Duke in a game where we like to say our blue is best? We wear the all black uniforms now.
Every time.
What are your thoughts on that?
Hey, bro. I'll be honest, bro. That all blue is not a fan favorite in the locker room.
Like all blue? You mean like?
I'm talking about blue.
Bro, I agree.
Blue.
I think it's a terrible look.
So if you see, like, if they were all blue, it might be once a year now, I think. because that was kind of what we started to. Because guys said it. Honestly, I don't really mind, especially because like it's kind of what we do with the Bills. We wear all blue and like I guess we
Yeah.
got a white lid, but it's like
So
I don't care.
My hot uniform take is I've always said the white helmet, black jersey, white pants at Duke. Like I've
Bro,
always
the
said
Oreo, bro, the
that
Oreo,
doesn't get
the reverse
appreciated
Oreo,
enough.
that's fire.
Yeah,
That's
those are fire. The GT uniforms from last year, those are sick.
I give Jamion his credit. Jamion was the one who actually he suggested that. I'll give him his props.
so
Yeah,
speaking of
we love the all black uniforms. They're elite. It's just like
They're
maybe a little bit
cursed.
more blue against Carolina. That's all.
Bro,
But
and
no, sorry. What were you saying?
No, so I mean, just mentioning the Bills, and got to give Dwayne his flowers. First, scum guest in the NFL, and also just it's kind of surreal. And, Duke players in the NFL, Duke in the NFL, that movement that kind of started in the 2010s with Lakin, Lucas Patrick, Matt Skura, those cats.
Crowder.
Um,
Jameson.
yeah, Jamison Crowder
Dog.
going to the Skins. Just some legends back then, and then your guys' class of you, Monk, Barton, guys like DeMcCagey years prior. Kind of, what was the draft process like for you as a Duke grad? How did your first year go? Just like experiences you've been getting from that. I just would be really cool for sure.
Yeah, bro. So kind of touched on a little bit about the respect aspect, but I think too, like the last 2 years we put together at Duke was a great deal of respect from a lot of people around the league. So going into it, especially being a Duke guy, you get the smart trope. I think it's a blessing and a curse because they just assume like you pick things up fast, like you know what you're talking about a lot of times, which is cool when you don't know what you're talking about. Like and you can, oh yeah, I get it. Like you can kind of play along. So that was definitely a big part of it. But two, I think the unique thing about my process coming from Duke and going to the league was the aspect that I was part of a rebuild, and I saw basically three head coaches since Elko left the last. But the ability to adjust and still be viewed as a leader in the program. Because in my process, that was a big thing that a lot of teams talk about. Was the leadership aspect? Was the captain thing, and how people spoke about me, whether it was a coach or people in the case center, academic center, whoever it was. So I mean, that's probably one of my proudest things coming from Duke is that aspect because it got me through, or not got me through, got me in a lot of doors just off the fact that people would think I'm a good person because they did their due diligence stuff like that, and that's something I value the most. I mean, you talk about ball, you talk about academics, Duke, college, whatever it is, whatever level I'm on, NFL, like bro, like it's just about being a good person. It's something that I've always been taught growing up. And so for that to be the MO and, the story around my name, I think is, my biggest accomplishment.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone realizes this. You may not. I'm sure you're aware, but I don't know if you know the stat behind it. You're the only player in Duke history to be a 3-time captain.
Yeah, I didn't know that until they posted that.
Yeah, like the only 3-time captain ever at Duke.
That's unreal.
Which is just speaks volumes, like you said, about your leadership and stuff. Like another thing I don't know if people realize, like you did a lot off campus or like non-football for like Duke and the student body. Like you had a big impact there. If you want to touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, bro. And it's like I think that kind of goes back to the whole reason why I initially chose Duke was because in its possibilities. But then I think it was my sophomore year, that's where I kind of found my passion for service, specifically in education stuff like that. But talk about during public schools. I mean, I bounced around those with the tutoring and stuff. I worked in the Duke tip program with all them little nerdy kids. I love to death.
Yeah.
So I got to work with all these smart kids that know everything. They're smarter than me. I got to just impact their lives. And that's the coolest thing too about Duke. Like, but there's so many opportunities. I mean, outside of ball, outside of just academics, I got to go on so many different trips. Bro, I abused them ACC Charlotte trips, bro. Like I used to be a part of like student athlete advisory council, all that stuff, and I got to see Charlotte for the first time. Charlotte's fire. Like I love Charlotte now. I used to go like league twice a year through school and through sports and stuff. But the impact and just to meet a lot of people, I think is the coolest thing to meet, bro. I met so many people across the ACC, across football and college athletics in general, and not only other athletes but administration. people in, a lot of high places. And I got to shake their hand, build relationships with them. And I think it just kind of like, it always comes full circle to me, bro. Like when I talk about Duke and, why I went there and everything I was looking for. And, especially I got everything out of it. Like I wasn't making freaking $1 million in NIL. And everybody was asking, like, oh, you get offers? Yeah, of course I got offers to leave and go to different programs and make 700, 600, 6 figures, whatever it was. The number would be. Like, it just was never about that for me,
Man.
Yeah, that's man. This has been a killer pod.
Mr. Duke,
we were
man.
talking about it all day, just because we've got to talk to guys like Feemster back from like mid Cutcliffe era, and then Quentin kind of pre-COVID, and everybody's just been pretty awesome. But we had never like known or interacted or met any of those guys prior to that, like we had with you. We all were talking. We're like, man, it's gonna have a good flow and be a good pod. Man, it's just been a blast, and we really appreciate you giving us the time. 4th of July weekend. It's just been a banger, man. Just thanks so much for sure.
Bro, of course, bro. I'm glad to be here, bro. I haven't talked to the guys in a minute, man. I need to get back down to Duke more for real. So.
Oh yeah, we'll rage this fall for sure.
Dude.
Whatever bye week y'all get, we'll turn it up.
I have yet to tailgate. I haven't tailgated either.
So I'll be in Charlotte when you guys play the Panthers. So I'll try to make it a point to like catch up with you then. But I'll be there.
Bro,
for that
hit me up, bro. For real, hit me up.
Oh yeah, I live here in Charlotte, so we'll definitely ride.
Oh yeah,
no, you all playing at Charlotte this year, so that's dope. We'll definitely have to link up there.
Dude, I might come down for that.
Sure.
I'm never against rooting for the Bills.
I'll give you a jersey, Eli. I've got a few.
I'm not a Panthers fan. I'll certainly root for the Bills.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if there's anything more North Carolina than living in North Carolina and not being a Panthers fan.
Dude, it's living in Charlotte and not being a Panthers
not like a Panthers fan.
Now I'll say this: being a Bills fan wasn't easy till like 4 or 5 years ago.
That is very true.
Like I was a Bills fan when we sucked. Like Thad Lewis was getting starts. Jeff Toole, Kyle Orton, Matt Castle.
You were there for the Marshawn Lynch days.
Yeah, no, really.
Bro, if you really think about like the history of the Bills, right? The pedigree, obviously, 4 Super Bowl losses in a row, which is that's hard to do. That's crazy, bro. Like, because I didn't really know much. Like, I didn't know much about the history and like starting to research and there's documentaries and stuff about it. So I started watching them, and then I also realized like how many players have come through Buffalo.
Yeah,
right? And you talk about some greats, like some Hall of Famers, like everybody makes a stop in Buffalo, bro. And then you talk about the turnaround was what 17. 17 the year before Josh got drafted?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was the year that Tyrod was at Tyrod's last year.
That's right. Because even when Tyrod, when we played the Jets at home the second time, bro, he came in the game, he got a standing ovation.
Yeah.
And I thought that was dope, bro. Like, it's just how people are in Buffalo.
That's so sick.
Like I remember growing up, me and football had a like awful relationship between Duke and Buffalo till I was like, I didn't see a playoff game till I was 18 years old.
Tyler had a real sense of self-hatred for sure.
Yeah, and I'm a Hornets fan. Like it doesn't get any worse.
And a Tigers fan.
At least y'all got Con. Y'all got Con now, though.
Yeah, we do have Con. We've got that going for us. But yeah, like it's awesome to see because it's kind of the same vibe with Buffalo and Duke in the sense Buffalo's a lot bigger scheme, obviously, but like the community at Duke is just like the Buffalo, like they're so like close knit and like.
I agree, bro. I agree. Like that's why I told everybody, like, man, I'm just coming to another program. It's not like if you were around our building, you wouldn't think it's like an NFL program. As far as like, the Hollywoodness, the egos.
Yeah, no, like, it's very like blue collar, I feel like.
Versus blue collar, we go to work, bro. And like, I mean, we got some freaking stars on our roster, guys who played really well in this league for a long time. And I just remember from day one last year, bro, it was just open arms, bro. No egos, like whatever you want to know, shoot. They'll tell you. You said how you build relationships, like they invite you to go eat, they invite you to hang out. Like I couldn't believe, bro. Especially coming in your first year, like my D line room was ridiculous, bro. Like we had Von Miller,
and Oliver, and Daquan.
Yeah, we had DQ, like all these dudes, and Von is a walking Hall of Famer.
Yeah, doesn't age at all. He's been elite for 10 years,
and can still play though. That's the thing. He just got hit with that suspension last year, but like it's just crazy. But the dude, like before he got hit with the suspension, he had a sack a game. Which nobody realized that, but that dude was on pace to do something insane.
And we just added Joey Bosa. Like,
Okay, we got Joey in the room now. Like, bro,
That's
Joey's a
crazy.
dog. Like, it's just funny. That's another example of like all these like elite NFL players that just pass through Buffalo for for whatever reason,
yeah,
bro. Like,
I mean, there's also another similarity. Let's not forget. I mean, the noise levels at Highmark Stadium and Wallace Wade,
it's
pretty
pretty. They
similar.
parallel.
The
They parallel.
yeah.
tailgating, exact same. I mean,
We're jumping through tables every weekend. Like we're
Bro,
putting dish soap on the slip and slides.
Highmark Highmark's crazy. Highmark's crazy.
I got to go up there for my 16th birthday and watch us play the Dolphins. And matter of fact, it was LaShawn McCoy's first year when we got in Shady, and we still had Sammy Watkins and watching them play. And I just remember sitting there, I was like, "This is insane." I'm like, "You guys are like this every week."
But you can't. It's something you can't describe. And I think like too, like, bro, I watched the speech for the OKC. What's his name? I don't know if you guys saw the clip. He gave the speech talking about how the same fans were in the seats 5 years
Yeah.
ago when we won like 12 games or whatever it was. Are the same fans in the seats today, and it just resonated, bro. Like,
Yeah, that's
you know,
Buffalo.
God willing, like whenever we do win the Super Bowl,
Oh, it's going to be
bro,
insane.
bro, like I fear for anybody who doesn't understand what's going on. Because that party will literally, bro, like those fans, they deserve it, bro. Like y'all deserve it, bro, for all the stuff like Buffalo's been through. It's crazy, bro. Like it's just funny. But I heard that speech the other day. I said, bro, that's exactly how Buffalo's gonna be. And these people are gonna tear down the new stadium.
Oh
It's gonna
yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
It's gonna happen.
Well, I think it's been a nice long pod. I'm gonna hit stop recording here in just a second, but everyone who tuned in, thanks for listening. Dwayne, thanks for coming on, brother. It means the world to us.
Guys,
Best of luck this season.
appreciate it, brother.